Hey, Willie, come here. Listen to this.
Turn it up.
We can't get anything done with a pothead. What we need to do is encourage people.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 Non-Nerds. There's just two of us today, but this is our weed legalization.
Rich is here in spirit.
Yes, Rich is definitely here in spirit. Interdimensionally, he may jump in and out. He may not have much to say, but he'll jump in and out interdimensionally.
Yeah, you may not hear him or see him, but we assure you he's with us.
He ain't seeing us either, so... Since it's the weed legalization show, we're talking about weed legalization. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? All right, man. Well, come on. We're potheads
that is
here.
The question of the day.
I'm not gonna pull punches here, and maybe this is a reason why Rich isn't with us in this physical realm today, because he knew we were gonna come straight out and be like, "Yo, I'm a fucking pothead."
We enjoy the recreational side of the subject.
Yeah, no, all right, exactly. And to a real pothead, we're not real potheads.
True.
To a real pothead, like somebody who smokes a shitload of weed every day, somebody living in Colorado or California or some shit,
right,
smoking like a quarter or a half an ounce of weed every single day, that's a fucking pothead right there.
I don't know how you could physically do that.
That's just, you build up a tolerance. I've been there. I've been there. That's how I know that I'm not really a true pothead now, because 10 years ago, I could smoke a half ounce a day with no problem. You know what I'm saying? And you're smoking with your friends, you're smoking with a lot of different people, but you're also still smoking at least a quarter ounce of fucking weed a day to yourself. And it's like, that's a true pothead. Right now, I'm at maybe a quarter gram a day, you know what I'm saying? Like, I am not a fucking true fucking pothead. Trust me, I need to smoke every day. I feel the need to smoke every day. I'm not saying I actually do need to smoke, but I smoke maybe a quarter gram a day, so I'm not a true pothead. But I love to indulge. If I could indulge more, I would. I now understand like that there's a fun limit. I'm actually finding ways to make a quarter of a gram of marijuana good and enjoyable for me, which is crazy because 10 years ago I would have laughed and been like, that's just a little tiny pinch. What the fuck? You fucking nut. Like, how the hell could you ever get high off of that? You're like, that shit wouldn't do nothing for me. That would be me 10 years ago. Now it's like I find a way in the perfect time of the day and shit to do it that it's just perfect. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I take a nap afterwards. I try and also enjoy it as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? I try and like make the moment as best as I can, or enjoy the moment as best as I can. And it's great. But we're not true potheads in a sense. We just like to indulge, okay?
And
if we were true potheads, I think one of us would have moved to Colorado already.
And the other
right?
side of that coin is, I also believe in the medicinal qualities of it that are being suppressed.
The medicinal qualities are a very big and very important aspect to this, and we cannot forget to mention that.
A lot of times when you hear the should it be legalized argument, all you hear is the pothead side and not the medicinal side. They don't want to talk about that.
They don't want to talk about the medicinal side. And the sad fact is right now the United States has, on a federal level, marijuana is a Schedule 1 narcotic. And a Schedule 1 narcotic by definition has no medicinal value. And the funniest part about that is the United States actually holds patents on the medicinal value of certain strains of cannabinoids inside of marijuana and THC. So it's actually pretty funny that they try and say that it's a Schedule 1 with no medicinal purposes, and that's actually the purpose and the I guess the grounds behind using jury nullification if you were to ever get arrested for marijuana in a state that has strict marijuana laws. You can shoot for jury nullification only because, especially if that state has any sort of a medical program themselves. If they have a medical marijuana program themselves, then it's contradictory. Like, you're going to arrest me because it's a Schedule 1 narcotic, and it has no medicinal value, you say over here, but then you admit that it has medicinal value and you have a medicinal marijuana program in your state. Well, that's contradictory. Let's bring this to a jury and see what they think. You know what I'm saying? And you have every right to do that, and that's New Jersey Weed Man. I got hella respect for him. He actually got locked up the day before 420, the day before the Trenton 420 rally.
What, this year?
Yes, and he just got out like 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and it was basically some bullshit. They're basically the law is trying to fuck with NJ Weedman, and he's been trying to fuck with them. So it's kind of fun to watch.
We're talking about a dude that lit a fucking blunt inside of the fucking chamber during a meeting. I mean,
well, that's NJ Weedman, and in all reality, it was a lot of people will say that was just a popularity stunt or a stunt to kind of get his face and his name out there.
I see it as a protest move because if it was I would never say that was a popularity stunt because him and his boys and maybe two other people
say it's a popularity stunt because nobody else has the balls to do it. That's why people say it's a popularity stunt because they're like nobody else has the balls to do it. The only reason somebody would do that is to get their face and their name out there, and it's like because of that,
New Jersey, not in Chris Christie's
well, because
state.
of that, his face and his name did get out there, but he also got the medical marijuana. He almost gave the medical marijuana community in New Jersey legitimacy and almost gave them fuel to fight this. The fuel to their fire that they're trying to fight the state and basically the medical marijuana program that New Jersey had in place was basically a joke and nobody could get medical marijuana. Almost nobody could get medical marijuana.
You had to be already practically dead to get the card. At that point, it's not helping at all anyway.
Exactly.
You're past the point of recovery.
Yep. But from a pothead perspective, I guess I still would consider myself a pothead, even though I'm not really a pothead.
There's probably different levels, different tiers, if you will.
From outside the box. All right, look. First off, we're high. Okay, I'm high today. All right, like I said, I haven't been smoking a lot, but we definitely got a little bit high today. I know it's not something that we should really be harping on or getting into, but if we seem like we're a little off course today,
my name is L. Ron Hubbard. I repeat, my name is L. Ron Hubbard.
I have a name, and that name is Oswald Cobblepot.
Yes, I'm L. Ron Hubbard. He's Oswald Cobblepot, and we're broadcasting live to you today
with Gordon Shumway
from Six Flags Great Adventure. In the Looney Tunes side of things.
I'm just a hologram. I'm just a hologram. I just got back from hanging out with Tupac and Biggie. You know what I'm saying? They're holograms.
Well, I just went to Mars with Obama, and we went back in time.
Out there. We're so out there today. But from the pothead conspiracy, that's funny. From the pothead perspective, okay, how was that easier to say than pothead conspiracy? Okay.
There is a conspiracy.
From the pothead perspective, weed legalization, is it a good thing? Or is it a bad thing?
Well, if you're talking one of those people smoking a half an ounce a day, I'm sure they're going to tell you it's a great thing. Colorado, 10,000 new jobs when they legalized it.
Okay.
You have 10,000 people who were not working or may have been doing some bullshit job now working in the marijuana industry.
Okay.
But the flip side of that, if it's legal, I'd probably be buying it quite a bit, and those taxes, like cigarette. I'm picturing cigarette and tobacco type taxes on it, and
I'm picturing, Brian, and this is what's going to upset some people because you would think I'm sitting here getting ready to say weed legalization. It's what we need. It's the best thing ever. No, what we actually need is a descheduling. A lot of people will call for a rescheduling of marijuana down to a lower level of narcotic, but that's still saying that that marijuana is a narcotic and is
most
a drug.
Most people are just asking for it to be decriminalized, not legalized.
Exactly.
And there is a difference.
Is decriminalized, descheduled, and all laws going forth and all laws from the past regarding marijuana usage are being and the sale of marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Come on, if somebody's selling oregano, if somebody's growing their own spices and making their own oregano and selling oregano to people on the streets, do you think like there's like anybody out there is saying like this person is a drug dealer? No, not at all. Well, okay. Yeah. Let's just say somebody decides to fucking sell some fucking weed when weed is legal. Or when it's all decriminalized and all fucking everything's been rolled back. Let's just say somebody decides to fucking sell weed. Is there any difference between that person selling weed and the person selling oregano? No, if it's completely...
Here's the question. Right now, as things are, what are the laws regarding if you wanted to start just randomly selling tobacco?
See, that's
what are the laws on that?
That's where
probably what the precedent would be set off.
Well, that's where you inevitably get into is that.
What are the laws?
When you go down to the Carolinas, it depends on.
Actually, time out on that. Would you think they would go off of tobacco as a smokable product, or would they go off of alcohol because it does impair you?
They would go off of tobacco because of the way that it could be treated as far as corporations. Basically, the corporation, because alcohol is grown, but then the manufacturing process is a lot different for alcohol to turn things into alcohol or turn hops and barley and all that shit into alcohol. That manufacturing process is a lot different than the manufacturing process of tobacco, which is harvesting and rolling it the fuck up and sending it on out, putting your additives in to make it a little more addictive and sending it on out. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm going with this episode today.
The additives and crap they're going to put into it?
Not just that. It's, okay, Colorado, what we've seen is an amazing thing what's happening in Colorado, and that could be used as an argument. And also Washington, much more slowly in Washington, but you see it coming along, and that could be used as an argument that weed legalization is only going to lead to great things for the country, for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's only going to be a good thing, so why not legalize? Every state needs to start legalizing, and it's already being discussed that in spring of 2017, the United States, we have a new president, surprise, surprise, right?
Make America great again.
Yes. The election is coming up real fucking quick, dude.
Months.
Spring 2017, the federal government is going to reanalyze the scheduling of marijuana. So that's something to maybe look forward to if you're really thinking about the legalization thing. And you think about, all the money that could be made through taxation and all of this, and think about all the money and all the jobs that have been created for Colorado. It seems like it's nothing but good things. But think about it this way, Brian.
I got a good one for you right here. You know the kind of stuff I watch and read in my free time, the shit I'm into. So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, you know what? We want to steal their money and make them our slaves. Let's legalize marijuana. That way they're so stoned all the time, they don't give a shit when they won't even notice. They'll
Very
be
good
even
angle.
more asleep than they are already.
Very good angle. It's like I've talked about before. If anybody's watched any of my previous videos, I've talked about
that worries me.
That I've heard rumors before, and maybe not just
people
rumors.
are starting to wake up.
I've heard that they wanted to put lithium in our water.
They're already spraying it. NASA
and
admitted since 1970.
We'll do a chemtrails episode, of
yes,
course.
They are real. It's not
jinx. Anyway, no, they've talked about putting lithium in our water to kind of calm us down.
They already
a bit,
put
right?
fluoride,
but you're right,
which is a classified neurotoxin.
Let us all be stoned up, but it's like you actually come to find out
it's a
that
fucking neurotoxin.
You have less people smoking when you have a drug that's legalized in a country. Portugal is a good example. You actually have the drug numbers, the number of people that do those drugs, or the number of people that have an issue with those drugs. You have that number actually go down. So it's not like, oh, okay, well now you'll have all these people like, oh shit, like weed's legal now, we can go smoke weed. But you will have more people experimenting and trying with weed and this and that. But it could lead to a much more lackadaisical culture and a much more laid back and oh well, fuck it.
Our overpopulated prison system won't be filled up with people that are in there for buying a dime bag.
That I think we'll come to find out that the prison industrial complex is actually very deeply tied to the anti-legalization movement in the United States, because there's a lot of jobs and a lot of businesses that solely rely on the drug war.
A lot of these prisons get kickbacks if they keep their prisons 65, 85% full.
Exactly.
So if you keep those little petty crimes rolling in like a dime bag.
What trumps a business like that, though? Okay, prison industrial complex is a big business.
Military is about the only thing that's above that.
Not a big business.
Surveillance?
Another big market, I guess you could say. Another potential big market, or a potential bigger market than the prison industrial complex. What could be the bigger market? Okay.
Prison Planet?
No. Legalized marijuana means corporate interference and corporate takeover of the marijuana industry.
And alcohol
exactly,
industries.
Like the tobacco and alcohol industries. But the problem is,
and then it'll probably be regulated by the ATF.
Here's my main point.
The Bureau of Alcohol, Firearms, Tobacco, and Marijuana.
Here's my main point, Brian. Is if we sit back And then kind of like what you're saying, if we like get high, well, anything can be done to us. If weed's legal and we all just get
I'm
high,
not saying everybody, but
us.
There are people that would go to the extreme
Well,
and smoke a half an ounce a day because they're spoiled rich kids and they don't realize.
If we sit back, right?
Like we might have money, but we're not the 1%, and the 1%'s fucking them as much as they're fucking everybody else.
If we sit back and let marijuana become legalized and just let the government do what the government thinks would be the right thing to do, which Colorado thought was the right thing to do, and it's kind of proving to be the right thing to do for them.
Crime's going down.
Is legalizing marijuana. But if we let that happen, Brian, here's the issue with that, okay? If we let that happen and we sit back and say, wow, it's so awesome, weed's legalized. Oh my God, it's going to be so awesome. Think of what am I always like talking about?
What is
I'm thinking about
going to be spraying on the weed?
I'm thinking about our kids. Okay, I'm thinking about our kids, and they've already talked about. Okay, they've already talked about. There's already been reports that in Colorado they're talking about the government is talking about limiting the THC content of weed to 15%.
Well, the reason of that was people were eating edibles and getting incredibly sick, and I think somebody may have died.
Yes.
Some dude shot his wife.
So the edibles they're bringing down to 50%. And marijuana, smokables, or inhalables, whatever you want to call them, dry herbs, they're bringing down to 15%.
That's very low.
And the average right now, I think they said, is like 23 to 27% or something like that, which it's like the best weed we're getting out here is probably maybe 18 to 19%. If we're the best of the shit we're getting out here is maybe 21, 22, but like... The average shit they're getting in Colorado, if you're going into a shop and you know what you're looking for, you know the good shit, you're getting 23 to 27. Yeah, you can still get the 16, 17, the shit we get, but if you know the good shit, the White Widow, you know what I'm saying, Northern Lights, certain shit, you know what to get, you can get yourself some 27% THC shit and you'll be blazed off your ass. But bringing it down to 15% and regulating it down to 15% and saying it has to be at 15% for the safety of the public, well, here's the issue with that, Brian. I want my kids and my grandkids, I don't want them to be potheads. I'm not saying I want them to be potheads, but I want my kids and my grandkids to have the ability to smoke weed like I smoke weed. Not, smoke weed out of a bong or smoke weed out of a volcano. It's the coolest way to smoke weed, or to vape weed. No. I'm saying
my mind's going somewhere else.
I don't want my kids to be smoking, going to the store. 20 years from now, I see my kids, and they're like, I'm going to go to pick up a pack of a pack of weeds.
Pack of reefers.
A pack of reefers. I'm going to pick up a pack of reefers. And they go to the store and they pick up a pack of reefers, and it's almost identical to a cigarette. And maybe cigarettes have been phased out because the reefer industry has kind of taken over, and it's like we can just like kind of make people think we're good for you now. You know what I'm saying? But 20 years from now, they've got 10 different additives or 15 to 20 different additives that they're putting in. They've been putting in a little bit of nicotine. They've already genetically modified it. They've already brought down the THC percent. So smoking one cigarette, they'll probably have it down to 10%, regulated down to 10%. So when you smoke one cigarette, you're smoking additives and chemicals, nicotine, and also only 10% marijuana. So you're going to feel fucking good for about fucking a half hour, 20 minutes, but you're going to need another one. No, but then you're going to need another one, because it's going to fucking wear off. Yeah, you can smoke 4 or 5 and get yourself nice and fucking stoned up, but then you're going to have all that nicotine, all those chemicals building up in you, and you're going to feel a little bit fucking not right. And are my kids going to be fucking smoking weed? Like, yeah, I'm sure they're still going to be able to smoke weed, but are they going to be smoking a weed that's completely different than what we're able to, even though it's illegal now? While it's illegal, we're actually able to smoke good fucking weed. But if it becomes legal, how much time is going to pass before corporations completely poop in the fucking punch bowl? Yeah, but no, they're not just going to poop in it. They're going to get diarrhea in the punch bowl, and our kids are never going to have even an opportunity to get a little shot of that fucking good punch before the fucking turd actually got to it or some shit. You know what I'm saying? No, they're going to have diarrhea fucking Kool-Aid or diarrhea punch for the rest of their lives, and that's going to be their weed. And we'll just be like, well, I remember back in my day, it was fucking good shit. Yep, back when it was illegal, believe it or not, we actually got good shit, and we were actually able to buy buds where you can't even get buds nowadays. Because corporations, you know any corporations that sell you tobacco? Yeah, those shitty fucking corporations that you've never heard of that got the big bags of tobacco at the tobacco store, but Newport ain't selling you none of that shit. Most of your people are getting their fucking cigarettes from big big conglomerates. Most people aren't rolling their own. You'll still have some people that get shitty weed and fucking get dirt weed and roll it up into their own fucking cigarettes. But if you want any kind of good weed, the shitty weed will be like 3% THC. If you want 10% THC, well, you're going to have to go and buy a pack of fucking reefers. You know what I'm saying? Because the pack of reefers is what's got 10%. Yeah, I guess you could break it open, but it's still got chemicals. It's still got a little nicotine. You're going to get hooked on the reefers. And it's like, I see this whole corporate fucking takeover of weed, and under the banner of legalization, yay, or under the banner of legalization, yay, potheads rejoice, and medicinal community, we're finally willing to admit it's good for you. So it'll be split into, you can get it medicinally if you have cancer and need their 10 different things that they say that you're only supposed to have it for, or you can go to the store and get, like, that's where you can still get the 20% and the 26%, the medicinal shit.
The actual shit.
Or they'll just completely go CBD, and they'll get rid of THC as being used as a medicinal, even though it still has medicinal properties. We'll all just be fucking happy with the fact that they went, okay, well, CBD can be used as much as it needs to be for whatever ailment CBD needs, because CBD doesn't get you high. CBD is a chemical in weed that is in some good weeds, but you can grow weed that only has CBD in it, and it helps kids who have epilepsy, and it reduces their seizures. So it's like, that's a very good thing, and they might actually just turn that into the medical thing. And THC, you got to get from reefers, and your R.J. Reynolds now sells you your reefers, and they've got control over your shit.
When it gets to that point, you think it'll be, you'll have your local,
fucked, dude.
You'll have like your local reefer store, just like your Canals liquor.
Yeah.
You'll have Canals reefers.
It'll
you have
be
your
like
big name brands, and you'll have your small
you might have like
brands,
like how they got smoking
have
outlets or whatever. Yeah, you'll be able to go and get cigars. You'll get certain kind of blunts. They'll have specialty blunts and flavored blunts you can get, and this and that. They'll try and load you up, and that's what I learned about blunt wraps. I used to love smoking blunt wraps, and then I'm like, wait, where do they get that fucking flavor from? How's that flavor get into that shit? I bet you they soak this thing, whatever this paper is. Yeah. They soak it in some chemical that gives it that fucking flavor, dry it out, and then fucking, that's why it tastes that way. But what chemical is that they're soaking that shit in that makes it taste that fucking strong? Like that, I'm actually, when I'm smoking it, I can taste the fucking flavor. Like, no, there's something wrong there. I'm looking at the other blunts that I know are rolled up by some fucking like Nicaraguans or some shit. You know what I'm saying? And they're fucking literally sitting in a fucking grass hut or some shit, rolling these fucking things. Maybe not a grass hut. They're in a warehouse or a factory, but like literally, like I found hair inside of those fucking blunts, and it's like, oh shit, somebody actually has rolled the shit. I'm not disgusted by it because I'm smoking the shit. As long as I get that hair out, I'm not fucking disgusted by it. But it's like, holy shit, there was actually somebody working on this. Whereas when you get those blunt wraps, like that shit was produced by a machine, ran through some chemicals. It's like, that's also how we talk about processed foods and processed shit you need to get out of your life. That's some processed shit you got to get out of your life. But what scares me is with weed, our kids are going to be smoking processed weed.
We live in an area where that is considered like the most, aside from a Dutchmaster cigar, the blunt wrap is the most popular way for the people in this area to smoke their stuff.
Yeah. And that's sad.
That is really sad.
And nobody thinks it. Like, it doesn't not dawn on anybody. That's all I had.
And drink diet soda thinking they're being healthy.
Well,
salads
also,
with tons of dressing.
Think about the people drinking the blunt wraps. Or drinking the blunt wraps.
You probably can drink some of them. They saturate that shit.
You can blend the fucking thing up in your fucking, your whatever, your Ninja or whatever the fuck it is. Now think about the people smoking the blunt wraps. Eating cheesesteaks, cheeseburgers from McDonald's, Wendy's, everything that's local around here, right?
Yeah.
Boost every single day. A Boost every single day. Smoking cigarettes and smoking the blunt wraps. They're done.
And again,
they're done.
We've mentioned Boost before. Again, if you're not from the New Jersey area or the
like, it's almost like a conspiracy in itself because they talk about 40s.
It's sugary syrup that tastes so sweet. I mean, you have to add a lot of water to this shit, or it tastes like you're drinking straight sugar.
Yeah, no.
It is
if you want to taste what Boost tastes like, okay? If anybody out there wants to know what Boost tastes like, get yourself a bottle of Coca-Cola, take the cap off, and leave it sit open somewhere. Maybe put like a filter or something over top of it. Make sure air can get into it. Put something over top of it so no flies or anything get into it. But leave it open for about a month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah, right.
And then that syrup that's left over, okay, that real thick shit, drink that or mix that with just a little bit of water. and that's Boost. Okay?
And
that's
it's very popular in this area.
But they talk about 40s being like 40s and liquor stores on every corner in the ghetto and shit and in the hood and in the projects. They talk about that being almost a conspiracy to kind of keep black people down and keep black people like down in the gutter, and like it's just too easy to live that like sloppy life or that drunk life or whatever. Maybe it's too easy to live that Boost drinking, fucking blunt wrap smoking life around here, because I really get the impression around here when I lived here before and now more than ever, I get that impression that New Jersey is like a black hole, and it's so hard to like get yourself out of and pull yourself out of, and it's like you can be pulled into so much like darkness and negative bullshit in Jersey that like can envelop you and take over your life and this and that, and it's like I think Boost and fucking blunt wraps might have something to do with that shit.
The Riverside Boost and blunt wrap conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm telling you, dude, it's something with this Boost, and it's like everybody that I see, listen to it, hear this.
Yeah, I don't drink it anymore. I barely ever
Everybody
drink it.
I know that drinks Boost on a regular basis, almost on a daily basis, is an alcoholic. Drinks alcohol on a regular basis, either parties or sits at home and drinks alcohol on a regular basis. Almost everybody I know, personally, I'm not saying everybody out there that drinks Boost is an alcoholic. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. But everybody that I know, and it's maybe only 5 to 10 people, but everybody I know personally that drinks Boost on a regular basis.
Do you think this has anything to do with the fact that we live in a town that's 1 square mile and once held the Guinness World Record for most liquor stores in town per square mile?
Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. And the Riverline. The Riverline brought junkies into town.
Yeah, the Riverline. We're right in the center between Camden and Trenton, which is two
so you definitely have
cities.
Junkies, and it turned a lot of the people in this town. It's not like a lot of people were concerned that junkies were going to come to this town and just be constantly walking around this town and selling their drugs around this town. No, what actually happened was people from Riverside got on the fucking train, went to Camden, and became junkies. Yeah. Didn't like go to Camden and lived in Camden. No, they went to Camden, got their shit, came back to Riverside, and all of a sudden they're now junkies in Riverside, and it's like that's a habit for them, and like there's a lot of people that do that. So it's not like it gave them access. It's not like they couldn't do it before. It just gave them easier access to be able to get onto the train.
Nobody wants to
go
take
get their
the bus. You got a train that runs every 15 minutes.
Well, bus sucks because you gotta sit out at a fucking bus stop, like literally on the side of the road, and just stand there with your neck creaked, watching, looking for that fucking bus all the way down as far as you can see, looking for the outline or the silhouette of that fucking bus coming. And that's why the bus sucks.
Please, bus, come by before a cop
It's like such a hopeless situation. Exactly. When you're a junkie, you're like, fuck, somebody gonna fuck with me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, when you're at the train station, like, you're almost comfortable because the train station is its own kind of, like, facility and its own kind of, like, place where you sit down and you're surrounded by fucking the train station, not like you're surrounded by, like, when you go to a bus stop.
Highway.
When you go to a bus stop, you're in like a little container thing, and if somebody walks up, it's kind of uncomfortable. Like, you don't know if you should talk to them or not. Like, the bus stop is fucking weird. The train stop's not. So it turned people into junkies because the train is easier to get on and go get your shit. But
which is funny considering our local train station is across the street from the police station.
Well, here's the thing, Brian. Yeah, it's crazy, but I don't know, Brian. What I'm scared about, back to the topic at hand, what I'm really scared about, Brian, is that I'm going to sit down with my son or my daughter or my grandson or my granddaughter, and I know a lot of people would say that's disgusting or that's sickening that you would say, but it's really not. If you think about the trend that's going forward and the way things are going,
it might be sick today, but it won't be a year.
Well, it's like somebody saying, think about it. It's like somebody saying, I can't wait till I can sit down and have a beer with my son. You know what I'm saying? And it's like nobody says, you sick bastard, you want to poison your son. There's something wrong with you. No, so don't treat me like, oh, you sick bastard, you want to do drugs with your son. No, I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I want to be able to sit down with my son or my daughter or my grandson or my granddaughter and smoke a blunt with them or smoke a joint with them or smoke a bowl with them or a bong with them, okay? Or do a dab with them, okay? I'm not big. I haven't really gotten into the dabs too much. That shit fucks you up. But I want to do some shit like that with them and have it be kind of like how it is now and be able to enjoy the shit. I don't want it to be tarnished. I don't want weed to be forever tarnished by corporations. I feel like corporations are now saying, okay, well, if they're going to legalize it, we want in on that profit stream. And I've heard a lot of people argue to me, well, the main difference between a tobacco corporation and a marijuana corporation is a tobacco corporation can only grow in certain places. Okay, or tobacco can only be grown really in certain places, in certain climates, and certain soils and shit. Okay,
True.
So and that's down in the Carolinas and shit, right? That's a
Carolinas, Virginia.
Okay, right.
That area.
So down there, if you're up here, you're not really going to be able to grow your own tobacco like that. Okay, I guess you could find ways to. You could cultivate it in your house if you really wanted to, but you're not going to
modify your tobacco.
But what the argument that has been made is that with marijuana, it's different because marijuana can be grown almost anywhere. And that if people don't want to spend the money to go out and buy a pack of reefers, they can just grow their own marijuana.
Oh, but then you're cutting into the corporation's profits.
Well,
you can't cut into the corporation's profits,
well,
Nick.
Here's the thing.
Fuck?
Here's the thing. How many people are really going to be growing their own weed when it's as easy as walking down to the store and your joint is rolled for you? How many people that smoke cigarettes really think about every time they light up a cigarette or every time they buy a pack of cigarettes?
Grow my own tobacco?
No, really think about, well, there's a lot of additives in this. There's a lot of chemicals. Oh, man, all that nicotine that's in there. How many people really think of that? No, they're just thinking, I want a pack of smokes, you know what I'm saying? So if it came down to it, if they could grow their own tobacco, if they're living in North Carolina and Virginia, and there's people that do in North Carolina and in the Carolinas and around that area, there's people that do grow their own tobacco, but not a lot. Not everybody's growing their own tobacco because it's easier when you have it done for you and it's all rolled up. Okay, yeah, they threw in a couple additives. Well, I'm smoking something anyway, so it's already bad for me. Who cares if they threw in a couple additives? If I really care that much, then I'll go buy a bag or a sack of tobacco and roll up my own shit that has less additives and less chemicals or whatever in it. But it's like people will act the exact same way when it comes to weed, even though almost everybody would be able to grow their own weed. But also with that, the simple way to avoid people being able to grow their own weed, corner the market on seeds.
True.
Corner the fucking market on seeds. You know what I'm saying? Like, make seeds hard to come by. Make seeds not something that's ever, like, basically you genetically modify seeds out. And seeds are only in certain strains, or not certain strains, but only in certain, like, mother plants. And you genetically modify, you have a mother plant that makes a shitload of seeds for you, and then you genetically modify those seeds or that plant or whatever to make kind of Terminator seeds or some shit that do not create any more seeds. You know what I'm saying? Or you modify that mother plant so every seed that it makes, every plant that those seeds create can't make seeds. You know, it's like the Terminator theory, and it's like what Monsanto has done with the cotton industry. I believe it's the cotton industry in India. You know what I'm saying? The Terminator seed has just screwed people over. You know what I'm saying? Like, you buy your seed once and then you don't, like, you have to buy it again the next season. It's like, that's not how it ever worked, because that's not how nature works. Nature provides, and nature, like, you shouldn't genetically modify that shit. So when you think about that, when we're sitting here talking about how they could possibly genetically modify marijuana to create Terminator plants and this and that, and it's like, holy fuck. Like, they could really fuck us over. Corporations have been known solely in the name of profit to fuck us over. And pharmaceutical companies, solely in the name of profit, have been known
the money that pharmaceutical companies will lose when it gets legalized is...
I don't think they're going to lose money at all. I think the pharmaceutical company is going to slide right as soon as it is federally... The scheduling has changed federally. Pharmaceutical companies will slide right in like they've always been there, and they will start having probably 20 to 30, maybe even 50 to 100 different marijuana products that you can use to treat your shit. And come to us. Big Pharma's here to help. We've always been here to help. You've always loved us. We've always took care of your headaches and your backaches. Now let us take care of your weed aches.
Oh, what's that? You get migraines? Here, smoke this strain of weed. Don't tell them.
And that's where it can be genetically modified
and
more.
He's going to die of cancer.
Well, that's where it can be. The weed can be genetically modified more. Weed can be it can be basically processed to a point where it can be mixed with other other pharmaceutical drugs that are not as good for you, so you think you're taking weed. Like, wow, they just legalized weed, and I'm taking weed to treat my cancer, but I'm getting worse. Why? Why am I getting worse?
That's just the thimerosal in your weed, Billy.
Exactly. So, like, where it could go is very dangerous, and I think the touting of we just need to legalize, and it's like a lot of people, I think, have the idea of maybe that's possible, but let's cross that bridge when we get to it.
But I think these are the same people that sit there and say, the government loves me. The government will protect me. The government cares about me and is there for me.
Well, no. Think about it this way, Brian, okay? Because you have to really, let's get serious here for a second. Let's get real serious, all right? Think about it from the perspective of a parent who's got a child with epilepsy, okay? And marijuana has been the only thing that has helped their child with epilepsy. And they've had to move to Colorado, okay? They've had to move to Colorado and take their child to Colorado so that they could treat their child and let their child live some semblance of a normal life with epilepsy. Okay?
Okay.
Think about them. They're not thinking, well, we want it legalized because, you know what I'm saying, big government, take care of us, this or that. No. They want it legalized because they don't want restrictions, and they don't want to be hampered in helping their children and being able to treat their children with what works. You know what I'm saying? They're not like, oh, I'll suck the big man, or I'm fucking all about fucking Big Brother. Like, I'll suck Big Brother's dick, whatever he does. He's the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, their complete mindset when it comes to legalizing weed is to help their children. You know what I'm saying? And they're right. They should be able to help their children. But I think there needs to be more of a discussion when it comes to the medical marijuana, the actual legitimate medical marijuana fields where people are actually using medical marijuana to treat diseases that you never would have thought would have been able to be treated or would have ever been able to been like cured or close to it by anything. You know what I'm saying? And the marijuana is helping with that. Like that, I think in those fields it needs to be discussed more of what options do we have and what should we really be fighting for, because it sounds right. If I'm a parent and I got a child with epilepsy and weed is the only thing that helps them, and I've moved to Colorado, and that's really one of the only places where I feel safe and I feel like my kid can live some semblance of a normal life, I want it to be legalized throughout the country. You know what I'm saying? And I want it to be legalized throughout the country because, you know what I'm saying? I want it to be legalized throughout the country because I want to be able to treat my child. But I think there needs to be more of a discussion of, I want it to be descheduled. I want it to be rescheduled, if anything. But I don't want it fully legalized, because fully legalized opens the door for regulation. And what that can open the door for is the CBD that I've been using, the CBD oil that I've been using to treat my child's epilepsy, that could actually be regulated down to a level where it's not really effectively treating my child's epilepsy anymore. The regulations, government regulations, pharmaceutical companies, like, there's too much mud in the water. You know what I'm saying? There's too much. There's too many nefarious things that have gone on behind government regulation and behind pharmaceutical intervention. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to be very careful about just saying, hey, let's go ahead and legalize it, because that opens the door for big pharma and big companies to come in and say, okay, let's take over this and start making money. And they don't care about treating people. They don't care about people being healthy.
Because what you need to remember is in 1986, Congress said pharmaceutical companies are not liable for any harm their products cause.
You know how nicotine came about? Have you ever heard the story of how nicotine came about?
No, I have not.
The big tobacco companies, one of them, I think it was R.J. Reynolds.
Probably.
One of the big ones, all right? If I'm wrong, I could be wrong. But I could be wrong about who it is. I know this is how it came about. They did research on how to try and find a way to make their cigarettes healthier. Okay, because back in the day, the advertisements always used to say, my doctor smokes Pall Malls, or my doctor smokes Marlboros, and he says they're the healthiest brand that you can smoke, right? Okay, so that was kind of the thing.
If you don't
telling
smoke
people that smoking fucking tobacco and smoking fucking cigarettes was good for you and that your doctor recommends it, right? Okay, here's the thing. They started looking into, well, how can we make cigarettes healthier? If we're telling people that it's healthier, how can we make cigarettes healthier for people? Let's do some lab research and this and that. They did lab research. Here's what ended up happening. They came across this substance called nicotine. And they added nicotine into the cigarettes thinking that it might actually make the cigarettes healthier. What they actually came to find out that the nicotine was addictive. And the nicotine made the cigarettes more addictive and made the cigarettes like almost chemically addictive. And they brought this research to the heads of the company and said, hey, look, here's what we have here. We tried to figure out a way to make cigarettes healthier, and we found out a way to make them like very addictive, where once people smoke a few packs, they're hooked, and it's like really hard for them to stop. It's probably not a good idea to do that, but that's what our research has developed, and I don't think it's ethically right or morally right to do that to people or to put that in our cigarettes, because that's making them actually more unhealthy. And the dude said, "Money? The what? Did I hear money? Did I hear people will become addicted, like physically addicted, and it'll be hard for them to put our shit down?" Yeah, we're putting that in our shit. From here on out, nicotine goes in all cigarettes. And that's how nicotine came about. They were trying to make cigarettes healthier and ended up fucking making cigarettes more addictive. And they had every option to say, well, we don't want to put this unhealthy shit in our shit to make it more addictive. Like, that's unethical. No, they didn't care. It's all about profits. So that's what's going to happen with weed if we're not careful. All right, and they're going to just destroy weed as we know it, and the medicinal weed that we know. Like, they've already tried with Marinol. Unfortunately, it's such a horrible attempt. They were like, all right, let's scrap that whole attempt, and let's just wait for it to become legal, and then we'll completely take over the medicinal field. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. Big Pharma's going to take over, and like, so people should be scared about that. That's why weed legalization, in my mind,
me because I don't trust Big Pharma.
A good thing. Weed legalization is not a good thing. We need to be fighting for a complete repeal and rollback of all marijuana laws. All laws against the use, growing, and distribution of marijuana. You know, and you'll see distribution of marijuana. You repeal everything, distribution of marijuana will be like nothing. It'll be like people selling tomatoes on the side of the road. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Nobody will be looking at it like, do you see these people selling their drugs out in the open? It's an open-air drug market. Like, no.
It'll be like, stop by Billy Joe's weed stand up the block.
Yeah.
Best weed this side of the river.
I think that was a good way to I guess, kind of wrap it up. I got some things that I wanted to share. I'll post them on the 3NN Facebook page for anybody that's interested in seeing the stuff. We'll probably come back to this topic, I'd like to say before the end of the year, maybe episode 60, 65, something like that. I want to definitely come back to this topic when Rich is here and get his input on it. Because it's another one of those big topics. We take on big topics, don't we?
We do.
Shit, we're like taking on the world here. People don't realize that, all right? You don't realize what we're doing here. We're taking on the world.
Coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. Coming soon.
What?
The U.S. is a corporation. Continued.
Yes.
At some point, I will have something on FEMA camps for you people, and we've been talking today. We're going to do a chemtrail episode.
We're going to do a chemtrails episode.
Yeah, we're starting to get into that deep shit that no one's supposed to talk about.
Well, we're also doing another UFO episode. We're doing
there's another one people just don't want to talk about.
The UFO one's going to get real deep. We got to wrap it up. It's been a wonderful show. I think it's been... It could have been better if Rich was here. Where the hell are you at, Rich? He blinked in and out interdimensionally here for a second. But
I thought I saw him up here.
I thought I saw him on the grid. No.
He's off the grid, ladies
all right,
and
it's been
gentlemen.
fun. You guys can find us on youtube.com/wherewelied to. You can find us on iTunes. Hey, we're on iTunes. Just search for 3 Non-Nerds. Spell it out. Hey, my computer, Cortana's like, hey, what's going on? Because I said, hey. That's funny. Where else can you find us? Facebook.com/3NM podcast. You can find me on Facebook, Nick Tesla.
I'm on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Real Nick Tesla. Find us. It's been fun. Rich, you'll be back next week. Next week is the United States a corporation, part 3. It's going to be a blast.
That's part... Today's episode of 3NN has been brought to you by...
Egg salad. It's only good if you haven't eaten for 3 days.
And chemtrails pacifying the population since the 1970s.
And by viewers like you. And by the John and Linda C. MacArthur Foundation. Thank you.
Let me know when this gets irritating, okay?
Now! It's irritating almost at once.